Looking good, YouTube? My name's LoveGame, or PD1 Piranha if you prefer, and welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls. Once again, I have my lovely guest with me. Do you introduce yourself?
I am Ash the Genius at work, and right before this, we were playing a little bit of Bloodborne. And I just realized something, I hate that game.
You don't really hate it, you just have bad experiences with it sometimes.
Oh yeah, what do you call my hatred for Dark Souls 3 then?
I'd say you hate Dark Souls 3 more than Bloodborne.
Yeah, okay, you have a fair point there, I guess. So where are we exterminating bugs in the middle of Demon City? Love game?
I just felt like killing him, honestly. We already talked to him.
Yeah.
So this time on Let's Play Dark Souls, we're going to be doing the most fun and well-designed part of the entire game. I can't wait. I'm going to get full health just because I want to have like maximum fun for this part.
This is the only good part in Demon Ruins, or City, I forget the name of it specifically.
That's Lost Izalith.
Yeah, Lost Izalith, but this is the only respawning Titanite demon, so if you want to farm
Demon Titanite.
Demon Titanite, yeah, this is the place to get with this one dude. Unfortunately, he's like the most precarious because he's on a narrow ledge, but
he also has like boss level health.
He does?
Yeah, he has like more health than like some early mid-game bosses.
So would you say he's harder than the 3 Titanite demons in like the bottom of Sen's Fortress?
He can be. I mean, if you go back to Sen's Fortress when you're like over-leveled as fuck. Anyways, meet one of the only enemies we'll actually be fighting here, the Stone Demons. I hate these guys, I can't take them seriously, they look stupid. They're like something out of a Mario game.
The only good, like, one good detail I could give them is that they did a little, like, thing where, like, oh, there's statues.
Yeah.
But then that's it. That's just, like, the one small detail. After that, they overstayed their welcome entirely.
Yeah, and there's, like, 30 of them in this one segment. There's, like, hardly any other enemy types in the entire area of Lost Izalith. But anyways, let's take a quick detour here, because I like items. It's a very nice... Oh! An item was not nice to me. So here we have a precarious looking pit with some washing machines down here. I don't like those very much. I like to keep my armor nice and dirty, so we're gonna do something about that.
Only in a grim, dark fantasy game would that be considered a washing machine.
But if you had a keen eye, you might notice something else. Our good buddy, Onion Boy.
Oh yeah.
Chilling over here. Get a lightning spear ready. So what you want to do... Try to get my lightning spear. Can I aim it from here or can I not? What you want to do if you have any ranged weapon is try to kill like a couple of these, but
This is probably the most complicated like thing you need to do for onion brewing.
And it can glitch out on you. I know because my girlfriend and I tried to do this, and there was a glitch where like he like made like he said the dialogue as though he were fighting, but he didn't. He just stayed right there, so we couldn't complete it. And there's bugs that can happen, unfortunately. Hey, Genius, what do you call it when DSP annoys his electrician?
What?
Bugged mechanics.
That's totally even for you, man. And you're not even a pun dude.
It's like a Lil Wayne style rap. DSP annoys his electrician. Bugged mechanics.
You call... Okay, that's just terrible. That's terrible, just outright. You call that a rap, man. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, it's like Lil Wayne, so it's not really... I'm not holding myself to high standards here. Now, you can do the iron ring down here to get more traction and whatnot, but I don't feel like taking off my Havel, so I'm just going to put on some anti-poison... Would this be poison, or I think it's just poison, not toxic. Why am I toxic? Anyways, what do you got to say, friend? Not really. They're just kind of minding their own business. Oh, Sigmire. You don't owe me anything. What are you thinking, fam? You already gave me emit force. Like, what else could I possibly get from a person like you? So anyways, be quick about this. You want to hurry up and kill these dudes, like, mad fast, because you want to keep our good buddy here alive. He has been grabbed, unfortunately. Hopefully he won't die in one hit.
He shouldn't.
Damn, I hate those iframes. Just gonna go ahead and drink for safety. Oh my god, he still has
Holy
iframes.
crap, that is the most ridiculous.
Anyways, you want to do that. Make sure there's no more around. Oh, there's one more. Okay. There you go. I think I did it. Let's see. He has his Tear Stone ring activated, it looks like. I guess that's what that is. Alright, what do you get to say, fam? Hopefully he's not poisoned. Ah, fuck. Yeah, I didn't do it. I normally do that perfectly, too. Well, what normally happens there is, like, if you let him live with more than half health, he will, you can complete the final branch of his story, but it's such a crapshoot, honestly. It really is. I told you, like I said.
The reward is good. You get
it is a Titanite slab, yes.
Yeah. But I think that's the first time I've actually seen it, like,
yeah, what I'll probably do, I have another file where I've done this already, so I'll probably, just, like, record myself on that character doing the last branch of the story, just to show what it actually is, but it's very easy to miss because it's the AI, and
you basically have to do a lot of preparation just to ensure it
and
works.
You noticed I even, like, weakened them and all that beforehand, and don't think you can kill them. If you kill them beforehand, all of them, it does not work. The game's, the devs thought of that much. They were a little bit ahead of you on that. And now we want to find our way out of here, hopefully. Get out of this muck and find our way back out.
Of all the level design in the game, this is probably the most confusing. In order to find your way out, you have to basically go inside the poison area just to find the tree roots to climb yourself back out.
No, you don't. Didn't mean to do that. I'm still used to that controls from that Gundam game we've been playing.
Oh, yeah.
We played that right before Bloodborne, and he was kind of raging at that too, but not quite
here's
to the
the
same
thing,
fervor.
the one good thing about that Gundam game, it's a great, if you're into Gundam modeling, that is a great game to get, because it
has, like, all the Gundams from, like, all the different anime and even the manga.
There's a whole lot of poses, you can set your own background theme music from the Gundam games. It practically has all the Gundams, at least. I don't think all of them, but, like, a vast majority of them.
It at least has some representation from, like, every series.
The one downside is, in order to get the parts you need for your personal Gundam and all this stuff, is you have to play the game, and the game is not optimized at all.
It's like a lot of slowdown.
Oh yeah, on the PS4, especially from what Nate says, like on the PS4 Pro, from what he's heard, is that it runs sluggishly. There's slowdown everywhere.
And the game will, like, lock up randomly for, like, a few seconds and then come back, so it's, like...
The other bad part is that there have been, like, Dynasty Warrior games in the past, and there's been Dynasty Warrior Gundam games. However, this game tries to be Dynasty Warriors, but it fails miserably at it, because...
Tell them about the air carrier thing you had to destroy.
Oh my god. So here's the thing. I never seen a Gundam game anywhere that actually does aerial combat good, because the way the game...
You can't actually fly it forever, it's just like a little supplementary thing.
And I'm not a huge, like, Gundam guy, so I don't understand, like, the reasoning behind it, but in most of the Gundam anime I've seen, most Gundam can just fly in space and it's, like, no problem. So I don't know if there's, like, a difference between, like, specific Gundams, or, like, there's specifically ground Gundam or their like Space Gundam. For the majority of the time, especially for a lot of especially in the early shows, like those Gundams can just fly in space and fly just fine. However, in games and stuff, whenever it's like revolving around like being on the ground and stuff, there's always like it's either very sluggish and heavy. That's because how the Gundams are, and because you're trying to fly like that, it's never pulls off that well. So you have to be like either very precise or just know what to do. And the problem is because there's a couple of aerial bosses and stuff, and the other problem is because the lock-on system with the camera falling where the lock-on is. With certain air levels, it's not good because the camera will blend in with the shrubbery, and then it'll block the path. And you won't be able to see what the hell you're doing.
Here's the daughter of Chaos, by the way. She doesn't fight fair.
Oh yeah, here's Dark Souls, by the way, in the middle of a Gundam talk.
I love knocking people on their ass with a mid-force.
Oh yeah.
Alright. Oh yeah, still got it. But yeah, me and him have been watching like a lot of. We watched like some G Gundam last time he was over, and I started watching Zeta Gundam, one of the old school series. Which, by the way, I will say Zeta Gundam aged a whole lot better than the original Mobile Suit Gundam. That's right. I don't think the original MSG aged all that well. Fucking sue me.
I have no opinion on the Gundam series, because back to what I was saying about the air combat in Gundam games, specifically the Gundam game we were playing, there's no real way to actually get into the air easily, so most of the time the air carriers in like the game will just be always above you. You have no way of hitting them unless you have a gun weapon or some type of like special skill or something that fire missiles or something. So majority of the time, because the like missions are timed and stuff, you always have to like wait until it gets within range of just eventually hit it and get within like scathing, just as trying to fucking take the thing down. On one hand, I don't like this boss like everybody else, but on the other hand, I kind of feel sorry for it, because it could honestly been like, there's potential for a good boss in here, but it's been kind of scrapped for like a potentially decent idea, but again, it's been like, it's just not optimized at all.
What has the better flame defense out of what I have? Fire 58, it's 51, 58. Then again, that has more physical. Fuck it, I'll go with what I got. Alright. I've never done this boss in one try because...
That's an achievement right there. That should be an achievement. Killing this...
Oh, by the way, when do you ever do this in a game? When do you ever slide?
All the time. Not every...
That was like one of my favorite DSP lines, just because he was like so dumbfounded by the fact that he was sliding in a video game.
It's like the same like argument I found for like Dragon Age, like on this old like blog post or something, with this dude who like apparently never played video games, but the dude apparently never listened to the plot or something, and he was playing through the mage storyline, but like, oh yeah, so there's this like staff that can shoot electric bolts or something. Oh yeah, and also I'm in hell for some reason. Man, video games are weird. Like, there's a perfectly good reason for all those things you just explored, and they'd explained it if you just listened to the plot. Also, hell, electric staffs, that's been in video games since forever. How is that weird for you? How many video games have you fucking played?
Yeah, for real.
So you're gonna run into those type of people like, why is this in video games? Because they've always been in video games.
The fact that he, like, refers... Okay, by the way, another reason to come back here, if you have killed Kirk all 3 times, you can in fact obtain his full armor set. It has one special effect. If you roll into enemies while wearing it, you will do damage and break their poise, so it's a little gimmick you can exploit if you realize
I do kind of like the little like things where if you co-op with a summon or kill an enemy enough times, you'll eventually see their body and their armor in certain places. What I'm curious about is like the certain like the lore of it. How exactly does that make sense? And like, because I know like if you
in that one instance, there's lore behind it because...
Well, I understand like the lore in general, where it's like if you get killed enough times, you get your turn hollow because you lost your humanity so many times. So in that instance, he wasn't necessarily hollow, he was just trying to kill you.
Well, Kirk I don't know if you've read up much on his lore specifically, but Kirk was not actually a Dark Wraith. He was a member of the Chaos Servant Covenant trying to help Quelaag's sister, be free from her ailment. And he was donating humanity to her. That's why you find
you have
his
to donate
body
30
there.
just to open a freaking door.
Yeah. I always wondered why there was like a health. Like, are they jumping into his body and like causing damage or something?
I don't think it's from Solaire. I think it's further down, or I don't know. Maybe it's from the.
I could never figure that out. Let's try not to get hit this time.
Have you tried going to his right or something? Because I think if you go...
I've been able to run past him before, I just forgot what the actual
I think
path
if you
for
go
it is.
to where his weapon is, I think it'll tend to miss.
Yeah, or I could like circle around him like this, maybe he won't do his shield breaker attack. Well, by shield breaker, I mean something that literally passes through my shield, not does all my stamina.
That is actually
I'll take the stamina hit.
That's one good thing I kind of like the difference between Dark Souls and Bloodborne, is just the difference between shields, because somehow during the defense of Dark Souls or Bloodborne, if the two universes are connected, somehow the art of shields has been lost, because shields in this game can block freaking giant hammers and like...
In Demon Souls, they were even more overpowered because they could, like, barely took up any stamina, and you could find stuff like the purple flame shield, like, really early game.
Not to mention, some of them could block 100% damage. You'd even, like, get hurt with anything. Bloodborne? Pfft, no.
Even in Dark Souls 2, it became really hard to find shields that blocked, like, everything, so you had to make, like, sacrifices. You couldn't find a 100% shield until, like, after the Pursuer.
I think with this boss, if they got rid of, like, the death pitfalls and,
Or at least not made it where you don't fucking clip through the little things you have to land on, because their like, hitboxes don't match up with the way they look. So it confuses me, and I sometimes just end
that's
up
just an
falling
example of a
through the
rushed
edge of it.
hitbox right there.
Okay, speaking of collapsing, let's go ahead and get that started. Come on. Come on, collapse. Collapse already. Oh my god. Ow.
Or if that didn't do as much freaking damage as it does, considering the fact she has that double swipe thing.
Yeah. Even with my added defense, didn't really help as much as I had hoped. God, that hurts. See if I can heal or not.
It's like they did.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it's like they wanted to make this an instant death room every single time.
Yeah. At least this elevator comes down for you. One of the only games, or only elevators in the entire series to do that, to my knowledge. Everywhere else, you have to remember to send it down beforehand.
Or at the very least, the majority of the time, there's always a lever at the bottom, just call it down for you.
That's what I mean, yeah, there's a lever. But that takes extra time. In this game, it just, like, this one elevator just comes down for you no matter what. So it's like, hey, that's kind of cool. No, I mean... Yeah, I can't wait to be done with this segment, because some of the upcoming segments are actually pretty good. Like, the Catacombs. I like the Catacombs.
Oh, yeah, the Catacombs are... Oh,
Shit. Oh, I'm not dead. Yeah, I like the Catacombs. Nito's a pretty good boss, even though he's a little bit underwhelming.
I like Nito, it's just...
I feel like he should have been a little stronger considering what he was and all that, but he's not really that hard.
That's really my biggest problem with, like, the lore and, like, the way the game is presented. Like, you fight, like, the 4 lords and stuff. Because I get with, like, Sith, he was basically impossible to kill because he was, like, hiding, like, he has immortality tied to a crystal. So you take away his immortality, he's just basically as mortal as any other dragon. In fact, he's less so because of the fact he didn't have scales, so he was, like, more vulnerable than, like, any particular dragon. Not to mention, he lost his sanity.
Yeah.
And with the Witch of Isolith, well, she just turned into, like, the chaos, basically.
Yeah.
So whether or not you consider that a downgrade, an upgrade, or whatever, that's up for interpretation. And, let's see, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people theorize that, Vendrick would actually be one of the strongest characters in the entire series.
Yeah, because I always hear this like type of argument where it's like, oh, freaking Gwyn is like the strongest guy ever. In fact, if he was his original high, he would like beat Vendrick's ass. I'm like, Vendrick can kick your ass as a hollow. In fact, he's stronger than like Gwyn is as a hollow.
If you imagine him in his prime, wearing like his full armor set and everything, it just seems like he would.
Like the entire argument, like, oh, but he beat the dragons. Like. But we don't really know how powerful the dragons are. The closest thing we have to
he had help beating the dragons. All Vendrick had was an army of humans. Gwyn had his whole squad. You know what I'm saying? He had like his witches and he had Seath. He had all this magical, crazy shit on his
well,
side.
that's more up for debate. So there's no. Oh,
Wow,
fuck's
that was
sake.
quick.
So you're gonna edit this out?
Probably like a few of the runbacks, yeah, I'll probably selectively.
So while we're just like padding runtime, might as well talk about like the other thing I didn't like about the Gundam game, which by the way, the Gundam game was like, what was it called? The New Gundam?
It's called New Gundam Breaker.
Okay, yeah, New Gundam. The other problem with New Gundam Breaker is its objectives. Whenever there's a video game that trying to tell you what the objective is supposed to be, usually it's very straightforward. It tells you what it is or gives you a hint. Or if it's a type of puzzle or exploration game, like, say, for example, Souls or Bloodborne or whatever, it doesn't outright tell you, but it generally gives you, like, room to explore so you can actually, like, stumble upon your way and, like, eventually find, like, okay, I'm supposed to go here, and, like, figure out things along the way. So in type of, like, the Gundam game, usually in most typical, like, any type of, like, game similar to Gundam or whatever, it usually has some type of objective telling you. And it does have objectives telling you. Here's the thing. For what Nick tells me, there is a tutorial, so it depends on, for the first time you play it, so it does eventually tell you what each objective thing does. Here's the thing, though. There's different types of modes in the game, and the thing is, depending on which mode it is, all the modes have you collect points, and in order to collect points, you have to collect all these mini objectives along the way. But here's the problem. They throw these objectives at you, and they range from, like, open 10 containers. Defeat the specific type of enemy, which is basically Gundam lore for anyone who knows the specific model they're talking about. And they just throw that shit at you constantly every single minute. They also throw in basically main objectives, which is the objectives you're supposed to complete in order to beat the thing. And those are tied into, like, essentially, like, story or, like, usually the last, like, level of the game, essentially. The problem is they never don't, with the UI selected, it's always like tucked away in the corner of the game, or like if you pause it, you can't like just access the objectives.
Yeah, it won't, like, it'll usually have you kill like 4 of a certain mobile suit, but it'll only tell you what mobile suit it is when it first shows up. After that, it'll just say destroy target. And sometimes you won't know what that target is unless you know Gundam and you know, oh, that's what a Shining Gundam, that's what a Rose and Zulu looks like. You might not know what a Mark II or a Zeta Gundam or like that looks like if you've never watched the show before. No,
this wouldn't be as bad as by itself, because again, it's just like, okay, so it's just the game like telling you various objectives along the way, just so you have to do stuff, and while it's randomly spawning enemies along the way. However, the other problem with this is that with certain levels, it's not optimized at all for the purpose of what it's supposed to be. For example, the jungle level. I've had such a shit show with that, because what the jungle level is, everyone spawns inside essentially a container area, and then after you leave the container area, there's no way to get back into it because it's so high up, and there's no way you're able to fly in, because again, the game wasn't built for that with that in mind.
I hate this attack. That attack that just like covers the ground.
Ah, yeah,
on fire. Yep.
Yeah, that was my rage. So all the while, the game is constantly throwing like fucking objectives to you every which way, and there's so much like crap on the screen, and the other problem is enemies will spawn inside the container area, and you won't be able to get inside the fucking area. The other thing is in the specific level I'm thinking about, like close to the end, there will be a flying carrier. Normally, this is bad by itself. The thing that makes it worse is, like I mentioned, when you lock onto it, there's a bunch of foliage everywhere, so when you lock onto it, your camera view is blocked by said foliage.
Oh, tell him about like the final boss guy that like you thought was gonna do something cool. And
Oh my god. Okay, here's the thing. The final boss, he has a final form, and what this means is, for the final mission...
We thought he was gonna like turn into the Dark Gundam or some shit.
All he did, there was just one in the first thing, in like the first section, now there's 3 of them. That's it, that's his final form.
He just multiplies into 3 of himself, that's it, yeah.
And the thing is, with that mission, it's just essentially like, it's 2 missions tied into one. So after you beat like the first like section of it, you then go on to the second.
Oh yeah. Well, this is like totally off topic from what we're talking about, but since last recording, I met in person Miss Michelle Rojas. You fine folks might know her. She's been in a lot of English dubs of anime lately. She was Mio Kusakai in Keijo, if you remember her. She was like the tall blonde girl who was like always touchy-feely on Nozomi.
Yeah.
The one who did like the hip nip shock and everything.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she was also Kanan in Love Live, and actually hit me that time. And who else? She was the original, like, one of the caretakers in Darling in the Franxx before she got replaced by a new character that was voiced by Kristen McGuire, the other person I met at last Acon. But yeah, Michelle was really cool. She actually told me that originally in Keijo there was going to be like a final showdown with Mio. Like, that would have been really cool to see.
It's really really cool if you got a second season of Keijo, or just more of Keijo in general.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was kind of disappointed with Keijo, is that I feel like the last like arc could have had more potential, because Mio was like the #1 ranked player, and yes, we did get to see her participate in the finals, but we didn't get to see Nozomi or like even Hanabi ever get to actually fight her. So it was a little bit disappointing. I wanted to see that fight, like the full potential of it. I actually watched that. Holy shit.
Christ.
But yeah, this thing will do everything it possibly can to keep you from reaching the middle segment here, including shoot chaos pillars of fucking shit here. Alright, I'm going for it.
The flames can still hit you while you're here.
They can. They sure
you can reach
can.
all the way to the end, and the flames will in fact hit you. In fact, it killed me a couple of times while trying to do this.
Me and him were co-oping this game, and that is precisely what happened. Okay, almost. Stupid designs. Stupid 7-second long unfunny videos. Fuck you! I'm so glad to be done with that. I know it's low-hanging fruit. That boss is worse than anything in Dark Souls 2.
Even the 4 Kings.
Well, I said Dark Souls 2.
Oh, okay.
I still hate the 4 Kings, and you're going to see why when I finally get to them, but I would almost rather fight the 4 Kings than that. But no, like, people that, like, say this game is an untouchable, flawless masterpiece, and that Dark Souls 2 is one of the worst game in the... Yeah, I'm sorry. That's just like... You can't defend something like that.
Here's the thing. Dark Souls 1 is flawed. It has more flaws than Demon Souls. And here's the thing. Demon Souls is way more unbalanced than Dark Souls. Especially from the horror stories people told me of, like, multiplayer with, like, the yellow guy. I forgot his name, but... Whereas, like, there's a PvP fight, and people would sometimes do, because they would take the most overpowered spells.
Oh, the old monk.
Yeah, the old
monk.
What you're
talking about.
They would take the most overpowered spells, and the minute the player into the arena, they would cast them, and boom, dead.
Straight up.
So in terms of, like, multiplayer, as far as I understood, it was, like, unbalanced, from what I've heard. But
yeah, it was like... Because you could do all kinds of ridiculous stuff. Like, you remember that video I showed you where the guy just kept, like, chain backstabbing some rando? And it was called, like, the most bullshit I ever put up with in a Souls game before, and it was just, like, this guy repeatedly using the scraping spear and, like, chain backstabbing, and people in the comments were like, oh, just parry. I'm like, yeah, with that level of latency, I don't fucking think so.
I thought it was the Dark Souls Remastered network test, but okay.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'll probably get DSR.
I like to point out, in
eventually.
Bloodborne, that takes away half your fucking health.
Dude, yeah, the dogs were, like, hitting him for, like, half as... Like,
The amount of damage
ridiculous.
enemies do in Bloodborne is fucking ridiculous. It's just insane. Like, I get it, there's no shield, so there's no, like, protection to hide from stuff, and you could dodge really fast.
And you're not wearing, like, metal armor, you're just in, like, leather outfits and what have you.
But still, it's goddamn ridiculous.
Me, I've scoured near Pikachu, milady.
We'll deal with him later. Right now, I think... Let's see, what do we have on us right here? We still have our mace, right? Okay. I got an idea. For no reason in particular, I'm feeling like I want to modify this mace, don't you? I feel like it's not quite what it needs to be right now.
I'm more of a magic guy, but sure, okay, we could modify a mace.
Yeah, we're going into a pretty dangerous area next time, and I think we need something to give us a little divine protection from the evil that lurks below.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I'm not sure if I talked about this before, but well, this may be a flaw for Dark Souls. I do kind of like the upgrade system, not because it's, like, necessarily
I don't like it.
intuitive or, like, it's original. I kind of like just, like, because in terms of Dark Souls, it's just, like, it's its own thing, if that makes any sense. Like, I kind of like, it's trying a new system. Like, for its time.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not perfect, and, like, you may not like about it. I kind of admire it for, like, what the devs were trying to do for it. I couldn't really pick a upgrade system that I prefer one over the other in any of the games, honestly, because for me it's like, because they're all basically the same thing. You do eventually have to grind for all of them to get specific materials, and while they have different upgrade paths and different ways of upgrading them, it's still, you still have to get specific materials and grind for them and go to specific areas to do specific things.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, like, how easily they're attainable at each different game, and in which way it's system you have to know how to upgrade them. And with which specific weapon they upgrade with.
Yeah, that's all.
So, for all of them, you basically have to do a whole bunch of research, and maybe if you really want to do it, you have to do, like, a bunch of trial and error.
Yeah, it's kind of tedious collecting all the different colored Titanite shards. That's what kind of got me about it, especially the blue slabs, because you have to navigate not only the invisible floors coming up later, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, where they didn't
You have
finish the
to
textures, where they
navigate-
finished the hitboxes.
You have to navigate an invisible, like, maze, essentially, just to get to the
Did they
blue
fix that in
Titan
the
slab.
remaster? Generally, if they didn't fix these lift, they probably didn't fix that.
I highly doubt it. I don't own the remaster right now, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's the biggest disappointment with the remaster right now, because I get it, it's a remaster, not a remake. Fine, but they still could have fixed some shit, because here's the thing, they fixed, like, the optimization problems with, like, Blight Town, so now it's not a laggy mess. Now it actually runs smoothly.
At least it's on at 60 FPS on consoles now.
At the very least, they could have at least added maybe some textures or something, unless the devs were trying to say, oh, it's supposed
They
to be
did
invisible.
update some textures, like they did make some textures.
Yeah, but for the invisible floors, or are the devs trying to say, oh, we wanted to be invisible?
Well, no, the invisible floors were like, that was like the point. Like it was hard to. It
Yeah,
was supposed to be
the
hard
point.
to see.
Bullshit.
I'm getting some more green shards so I can.
This is one of the downsides I can say for this particular like system of gathering and stuff. For I don't know how this much applies to like the other upgrade systems in the games, but in order to like get specific materials. You have to like go and find specific enemies that drop them, and like try and figure out a way to, especially a whole research thing, trying to figure out the most optimal way of getting these materials.
Yeah, I don't normally use that system much, but just for the sake of the LP, I'm not, like, too worried about those. I'm not really using any, like, magical weapons and what have you, and even still, you need white Titanite to make the higher grade of divine weaponry, so I'm not going to worry about that anyway. I'm not a magic build or a pyromancy, anything like that, so...
It could be argued that with Dark Souls 2, they did like make it better by simplifying, just by saying like, oh, you just need Titanite in general as opposed to a different color of Titanite. And if you really want to enchant it, you basically have to go find specific materials to enchant it. It wouldn't have to be like an entire system of Titanite. Eventually, have to like certain chunks or even slabs, just try and get upgrade all the way to the specific enchantment you wanted.
You know what I think about it?
What?
I wouldn't worry about it.
That's the emote you chose?
Yeah, that was actually a kind of a very obscure reference. That was a reference to the, we were discussing it earlier, the incredibly bad English dub of Gundam Build Fighters. Because Sheena, who's like this younger girl that was into the main character, was like standing next to the main character's mom, who has ridiculously fucking big boobs, and like they were both in swimsuits on the beach, and Sheena was like, how do I look, you know, just kind of asking, and she asked this dude Reiji, who was like this kind of foreigner who didn't really understand like why somebody would ask a question like that, and he just kind of like studies them for a second, looks back and forth between their chests. And then he's just like, I wouldn't worry about it.
By the way, if you love bad anime dubs, go watch Gundam...
Build Fighters and Build Fighters Try. They're both on YouTube.
Oh yeah, you showed me the first episode. It was magical.
It was like
Even the audio quality was bad. It was like an abridged series. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And that's how funny it was.
Oh, man. Yeah, like, the regular Build Fighters dub was, like, it was bad, but it wasn't unwatchable, because, like, some of the voices did fit the characters. Like, they actually made the Italian guys sound Italian, and, like, Reiji's actual voice was okay, even though, like, he didn't put a lot of emotion into some of his acting, but it was, like, it was watchable. But no, Build Fighters Try... It sounds like a fucking abridged series, and I'm someone who loves English dubs, so like, you know, when I say something like this, you know it's bad.
I've been getting more into dubs these days because I just got tired of hearing the same goddamn lovely voice every single time a girl opens her mouth in the sub.
That's what I've been saying.
And here's the thing, it's the same dialogue over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, oh my god, you seriously cannot say the same goddamn thing with so many goddamn shows.
I don't get why the adult women have to sound like they just graduated the fucking 2nd grade. Like, oh yeah, all dubs are bad, but this like consistent problem that you find in Japanese voices in so many fucking shows, that's okay.
Here's the thing, with dubs, there's variety.
In which some people say that's not true. Some people are like, oh, well, you only hear the same, like, 5 voice actors in every dub.
Here's the thing, our English voice actors are goddamn good. You hear the same goddamn voice in Japanese voice actors, I guarantee you. You'll hear, like, go find out the Japanese voice actor, and then here's the thing, go find, like, the Vita Works with Blue. You'll recognize the voice, because they do the same goddamn voice.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not true for some voice actors, but for me, that also, because, okay, that sounds incredibly racist. Here's the thing, I watch so many goddamn crap anime, they all start to sound the same eventually, because they're all, nowadays, there's not even deep voices in anime these days.
He was talking earlier about how there's, like, not even any, like, masculine protagonists anymore, how they're always, like, not, like, what were you saying? Like, how they're not,
because here's the thing, like, I do agree with, like, the variety, because, like, okay, cool, now there's actually some, like, main characters who are, like, not as masculine, not as, like, big, huge dudes, and they're actually, like, these, like, small, like, skinny dudes, and these small, like, who are not as, like, aggressive or, like, manly and stuff like that. The thing is, though, in anime these days, that's all there is. Very rarely nowadays is you can find, like, somebody like Kinshiro these days.
Or JoJo.
Like, 1 out of 1,000 animes, I can guess.
Yeah,
I have a
like,
few hundred.
that is one thing I liked about Build Fighters Try, is they kind of base the main character off of Domon from G Gundam, and so they make him like, obviously he's younger, so he's not gonna be like, just like ridiculously manly, but he takes after a lot of his mannerisms, and I enjoy that about him, because, I like G Gundam. G Gundam's really good. You guys should all go watch that right now.
If you love 80s anime, dude.
Well, 90s, but yeah.
Whatever, close enough. And in the 80s, 90s, 2000s anime, that was the shit back in the day.
And the dub suits it so well because like it's cheesy, but it's that way on purpose.
It's like if you ever played Metal Gear Solid, it's that type of like gusto. It's like it's not
the original MGS voice acting. But yeah, these guys down here have unfortunately done way too many drugs, so they're gonna be kind of going out of their mind.
Yeah,
Am I out of my mind?
Yeah, skeletons were spooky scary. What he gets duded by the trumpetless skull that don't have their trumpet. Fuck, I can't do this.
Dude, if you have a skull without his trumpet, you better watch the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
That's not gonna do you good. Why can't I slide? There we go. But no, what I was going to say was, am I out of my mind? I think that I might be going crazy. Because my heart is yours to have and hold, or break. How'd you get to be so close when you're so far away? Yeah, that's right. I don't know if anybody will actually get that reference, but there you go. That's a very cursed reference, kind of like this guy right here. These are necromancers. Let me explain a mechanic of this area before I go. When I push this lever. So, beyond the point of the graveyard, those skeletons will infinitely, revive. They cannot be killed by normal means. You have to use a divine weapon, a weapon with a divine modifier. You don't have to necessarily make a weapon like this. Some weapons have this naturally, but by and large, you want to have a divine weapon. So, go ahead. The mace is a good choice because maces are naturally good against skeletons because they just kind of break them apart like that. But don't forget to bring this with you. Just like you wouldn't forget to bring a towel. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and also don't pay attention to the room because it's crawling with fucking bugs.
Roaches, bro.
Oh,
I can't believe we never got an exterminator, man. What's
those look like roly-polies, honestly.
Really big ones, yeah.
Let's get a closer look.
They do move. It's a nice little... It's just like a little flat texture, but I mean, they move, so that's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
You can't kill them, though, unfortunately.
No, not MGS2 physics.
Yeah.
Or Half-Life, or any other thing that has bug physics.
But
So gotta give him credit for putting that little detail there. I think it's in this room specifically, not in any other rooms in the catacombs. I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll find that out next time when we fully explore the catacombs and head to the next Lord Soul. See what awaits us there. Until then, I have been Love Game.
Yeah, I'm the genius at work. I love complaining about stuff.
And this has been Dark Souls. I will see you guys later.